Hello my YouTube friends, this is Brian with BG Model Workshop. So today we're doing an update on the Joe Thompson monster truck build because I was getting lightly harassed while he was doing one of his live feeds this morning. But no harm, no foul, right Joe? I'm going to start off with a little bit of mail call first. I'd like to say thank you to Fred Henry, old Pappy. Thanks for the card, I really appreciate that. That's a beautiful truck. And that color red, that's a good signature color if you have to have a signature color, right? Then also Monty Davis. Thanks for the card, Monty. I'm wondering if Monty secretly owns this actual CUDA here in the picture. And then Rick Zink over at Skeletal Remains. I understand Rick's having some trouble. His wife isn't doing too well, but thoughts and prayers go out to you, Rick. Hope everything turns out for the best. And then old Chevy Cheeseburger got a card from Lisa, I believe it is. Thank you very much, guys. And then Richie over at Gyrus over in Europe, over the UK, I should say. It's completely different than Europe. Thank you very much, Richie. And my most recent one here from Charlie Mack. Thank you, Charlie. Everybody I mentioned in this, I appreciate that very much. Also, I have my cards in finally. Nothing special, just something to get going. And if you guys want one of those, one of mine, just go ahead and private message me. I'll get one out to you as soon as I can. Everybody else I mentioned, I have one in the mail on the way out to you guys as a thank you. So, where are we with the Thunderbolt 1? Well, other than working my tail off on the body, getting that that molding taken care of along the edge, and then spending a lot of time trying to straighten the body out. Can we get a better light on that? There we go. Trying to straighten the body out, which as it turns out will do just fine once we actually attach it to the interior pan. But because it's going to be open top vehicle, I'll have to paint the interior pan after I paint the body. So some creative masking will be involved. And I opened up the radiator hole here so I can put in an aftermarket radiator. I found a resin one online I'm going to attach in there that actually has has a couple of fans molded in it. I like that a lot better. And yeah, that's a different size opening, so we'll fix that. We'll fix that in post-production, as they say in TV. And then the chassis, I haven't really done much on the chassis lately. I mean, we had a death in the family a few weeks ago. We spent some time in California with family. And since we've been back in town, I just haven't had the drive to work on this, so to speak, because I was going hammer and tong at this thing when we got the bad news. So it's kind of like every time I start to work on this, I start thinking about that phone call. Anyway, I did some tulip work around here to try and blend in, tulip paint. I don't know if you guys mess with this stuff at all, but it's kind of thick. It's about this consistency of Elmer's glue, but it doesn't shrink much when it dries, so it's good for filling in gaps. And I've done some shaping around on the front horns here where the body's going to meet on these areas here. So I've been doing some shaping there a little bit, and then we'll clean up some of our cleanups and hit it with some files and a couple of sanding sticks and get this a little more pretty. And then off to the washes. Put it in some dish soap, and get that ready for painting, for priming. And this guy here, this had some mold release residue on it still, and it was like baby oil all over this thing. I've gotten most of it off. I haven't done the final wash yet, but I do need to do some fill. Yeah, it shows up really good on the camera. I need to do some fill there in the front and the back, and I got the round 2 version of this kit, the Crew Chief, and that has the exact same sink mark right there from this area. So that's just going to be product-wide curse, I suppose. But been doing some light bending here and there to try and get the body to square up. And I clipped the windshield off of the sprue and taped that in there to see if it would actually straighten out the frame, and it does. But check this gnarliness out. Can you see that? Look at that. This is how it came off the tree. So I guess I will sand on that a bit and then try and polish the snot out of that. But I was like, hey, thanks a lot, AMT. I really appreciate that. Like, I didn't need more work, right? Not to mention the fact that this piece of plastic, this so-called glass, it's got to be more than a 1/16 of an inch thick. So at least there's plenty of material to work with. I've been messing around with the roll cage. It's really finicky. It's very thin. I'll be polishing up the tubes and getting the mold seams off of them. And I was kind of half thinking about, let me take this off here, about, see how these bars are molded on? The tubes are molded on, and this is supposed to be a piece of cloth up here. I was half thinking about actually just cutting these tubes out or making my own, and then going back and putting a piece of cloth over the top of that, stretching a piece of cloth over that and super gluing it on. But there's so many other things going on with this kit that getting tricky like that isn't really worth it. So the kit has a 500 cubic inch engine, 400 cubic inch engine, which I think is, cool, but I've been hearing rumors that that's not a big enough engine to actually run one of these trucks. And I was like, yeah, but if it's got toy tires on it, 400 cubic inch engine is going to be big enough, right? Perhaps in the future I will leave this, I'll leave myself the ability to go in and maybe swap out something, maybe like a nice resin 572 cubic incher with supercharger or something like that. But for right now, in order to stay on track with the build, I'm just going to stick with the velocity stacks, and the ones that came with the kit were junk. So I went out to the electronics parts box and got some metal ones, which turned out to be just a hair shorter than the originals. And I do want to cut open the hood. So I found in the parts box this cool looking scoop out of a 55 Chevy kit I've been working on. And I think I can make that work pretty good. Take a look here. So I haven't cut out the blank yet, because I wanted to do some measurements and stuff. And of course, when I cut out the blank, it'll take care of that hood ridge. But let's see if I can do this right here. Turn. There we go. I think that'll look all right. I mean, without my hands holding it together and everything, but I think that'll look pretty sweet. And then you pop the hood open, and it'll have the opening there. Then you can see the velocity stack, not velocity stacks, the injector stacks sticking up. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. And then I still haven't finished cutting the original rims off that came with the tires that I got for it, the aftermarket tires I got for it. But I did discover that these are the perfect size little 4 cups for mixing up resin in afterwards. These are great for that. I like the idea of that. And then the kit chairs, the kit seats. I don't know, man. They look like they belong in like a 1970s steakhouse. So I went through the parts box again, and I found some old General Lee seats. I thought, these actually have seat belts molded onto them. That's not too bad. And then I found what I can only assume are Corvette seats. I got these, a big bag of parts from a friend of mine a long time ago, and I figured that might be what it is. So these kind of look cool. I don't know how they'll look in the interior. Maybe I'll just stick with some General Lee seats, paint those up, but definitely not going with those. These are going to go to the parts box. So that's where we're at right now. I'm hoping to get some stuff cleaned up and into the soak bin to get them cleaned up and everything, so we can get into primer and then on to paint. So it's just been a lot of body work and futzing with the I said futzing, okay? I said futzing a little with the chassis. So that's straight. It's solid. It's got a good foundation. I'm still thinking about maybe doing a metallic yellow for the chassis and suspension, but I could easily be talked out of that. Again, thanks to everybody who sent in some shop cards. I appreciate that. I picked up some new subscribers this last week. I also appreciate that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again. Bye.